Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of This Old Deck. So this is a bit of a weird one, not that some of the other ones I've covered haven't been weird. It's another one from the Magic the Gathering official Deckbuilders guide, 120 decks for players of all levels. I'll include a link in the description so you can see what the book actually looks like. There's an entry for it on MTG Wiki actually. But in those 120 decks, as I've said in previous episodes, are sort of grouped by different types. Now, the book came out just as Tempest, I think it was. I got that right? Yeah, just as Tempest was about to be released. The most recent core set covered in the book is 5th edition. But it has a section in it called Creature Decks, where it sort of jumps around a little bit, and it starts off with an artifact deck and a dragons deck, and then moves into decks that are built around cards predominantly from Fallen Empires or Fallen Empires block, as I think it called it. Oh no, sorry, I misspoke there. So built around mainly Fallen Empires with the odd card I think here and there. And it's got one of each of the colours, so there's a black deck, a blue deck, a green, a red, a white. They're black, blue, green, red, white, yeah. And then it's got some other stuff, like there's a goblins deck in here which is built of various cards from around that time in Magic. And to put a year on it, if you've not seen me do cover decks from this book before, 1997. Yeah, so we've got merfolk, zombies. And then we have this thing called Ancient Powers, which is an Elder Dragons deck. And I just thought, yeah, I should cover this. As they say in the text in the book, it says, this is not really a deck that you would want to play if you strongly dislike losing. If, however, you are drawn to the majesty of the most regal and enigmatic creatures in Magic the Gathering, and you like to surprise and impress your opponent with the creatures you are using, then it should be right up your street. And then, to cap it all, what it does is, in amongst the all of the original Elder Dragons, it sticks in Spirit of the Night and then the Spirit of the Night combo. So I couldn't resist covering this. It would be a pretty expensive deck to put together in this form. And I deliberately used black border cards to do this. However, there are some cards in here where you could do other, white border, core edition or Chronicles. For instance, all of these legends, Elder Dragons, that were reprinted in Chronicles. There's obviously, what would it be, revised edition of the dual lands. I think, has it got all the dual lands in it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. So it has all the dual lands and City of Brass, which is pretty funny. So that's our land base. I don't know how much of the time the book went up this would. It actually just says expensive as the cost in, because they try and equate a cost in 97 of how, roughly what a deck would be to put together price wise, and it says expensive, I think. So we've also got a sideboard as well. So I'll quickly rattle off what's on the screen, and then we'll actually change views and we'll look at the actual cards, artwork, and then the idea is with this episode, going to look at the combo pieces, Spirit of the Night as well, and then some Night Stalker stuff and some Elder Dragon stuff. I thought that was be an interesting way to go with this old deck episode. So we have 4 Birds of Paradise, 2 Breath Stealer, 2 Feral Shadow, 2 Herbal Panther, which form this interesting combo, which you'll see in a moment goes and fetches a Spirit of the Night, of which we have one of. And we have one of each of the Elder Dragons, 1 Arcadia's Sabbath, 1 Chromium, 1 Nicol Bolas, 1 Palladia Moors, and 1 Vivictus Asmadi. I apologise if I'm massively mangling that. So 16 creatures in the deck. We have a Soul Ring, because you can see this stuff's pretty mana hungry. We do have a Birds of Paradise, 4 copies of those, and these are all 3 drops, but yeah, everything else is pretty over the top casting cost wise. We've got 3 Dark Rituals, 4 Lightning Bolts, 3 Swords of Plowshares, 4 Arcane Denials, 4 Disenchants. So there's sort of removal package in here. There's a burst of black mana speed. We have a Demonic Tutor, just 1 copy of Demonic Tutor. And then the aforementioned lands, there's 24 lands, 2 each of all of the dual lands, and then 4 City of Brass. The sideboard, we have Misha's Factory, 2 Fireballs, 2 Prosperities, another Sword of Plowshares, a Balance, 2 Drain Lives. Another creature, Urnam Jinn, is in here, which is a 4-drop, and Nev's Disc. So let's actually look at the visual side of this. So here's the artwork. Let me just see, I'll leave it at that, I think. Okay, so here's our Birds of Paradise. Tap to add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. This tap may be played as an interrupt. Then we have these from, this would be from Mirage Block. So Breath Stealer, Feral Shadow, and Herbal Panther are all 3 drops. Breath Stealer has this interesting ability on it where it gives it sort of +1, -1 for a single black, but you can repeat that, but obviously you don't want to repeat it enough times to actually end up blowing yourself up, or blowing the Breath Stealer up. So you're limited by that because it's a +1, -1. We've got a Flying Feral Shadow, it's a 2/1, and then we have Herbal Panther, which is a 2/2. For a single black, you can sack it and then destroy a target creature blocking Herbal Panther. But this is where the combo comes together on this card. So if you have a Feral Shadow, a Breath Stealer, I might have called it Breath Stalker by mistake, but Breath Stealer, and Herbal Panther in play, you can sack them all, search your library for a Spirit of the Night, and put it into play as though it were just played. Shuffle your library afterwards. So here's our Spirit of the Night. 6 and 3 black. With Flying, Trample, Protection for black, first strike when attacking. Spirit of the Night is unaffected by Summoning Sickness, and it's a 6/5. So then going back, we've got all 5 of the Elder Dragons. You notice as well, they're legends, and so is the Spirit of the Night. I think they're the only legends in the deck, yeah. So Arcadis Saboth, 2 white, 2 green, 2 blue, 7/7. You'll see these are all 7/7s. So as we're going through, we'll assume that. I won't necessarily mention that. This one has Flying, single white, +1+. Sorry, I was going to give it Fire Breathing there. It doesn't have Fire Breathing, does it? So it's single white, +0/+1 until end of turn. Your untapped creatures gain +0/+2. Attacking creatures do not get this bonus. Pay white, green, blue during your upkeep, or Arcadis Saboth is buried. So all of these, you'll notice, have this cost to actually keep them in play every time you get to your upkeep. So pretty expensive. Chromium, Flying, Rampage 2. Just to remind ourselves, that's what Rampage is. Whenever this creature becomes blocked, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn for each creature blocking it beyond the first. Yeah, there we go. That's it. You can see there we've been errated at the beginning of upkeep. Sacrifice Chromium unless you pay. Yeah, so slightly reworded. Nicol Bolas, 2 blue, 2 black, 2 red. It's got Flying, and when an opponent damaged by Nicol Bolas, opponent is damaged by Nicol Bolas, Then got to discard their entire hand. Ignore this effect if opponent has no cards left in hand. Palladium Moors, 2, and then 2 white, 2 green, 2 red, with flying and trample. Also got that, keeping play cost. And then Vivictus Tis Asmadi, 2 black, 2 red, 2 green, with flying. And then it has for each of the for each of the colours. So single black, you gain +1/+0 till end of turn. Single red, gain +1/+0 until end of turn. Single green, gain +1/+0 until end of turn. And then it has the keep it in play cost. So all 7 sevens, and just check, see what's happened here. Yeah, so laid out in the same way. There's Osprey of the Night, we mentioned. Soul Ring, 1 to cast, add 2 colours to your mana pool. Tapping this artifact can be played as an interrupt. 3 Dark Rituals, adds 3 black mana to your mana pool. Lightning Bolt does 3 damage to 1 target for a single red. Source to Plowshares, single white. Remove target creature from the game. That creature's controller gains life equal to its power. Arcane Denial is a counter spell. There's 4 of those. And that spell's caster may draw up to 2 cards at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. Draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. Disenchant 4 of those, blows up artifacts or enchantments for 1 and a white. We've got 1 Demonic Tutor, 1 on the black. Search your library for 1 card and take it into your hand. What's the wording on that now then? Put the card into your hand. And in quite a number of formats. And then we have 2 Badlands. So on this wording, it's got counts as both mountains and swamps and is unaffected by spells that affect either. Tap to add either red or, I think that's black. It's always difficult to see with these. So that's what it looks like when it's errated. And I'm trying to find something that it would, maybe a modern card with it on. Oh, Legacy Championship, cool. Oh yes, and of course Vintage Masters, although that was online. Yeah, I did draft that once, I think. So Bayo is the black-green one. We've got 4 City of Brasses, so tap any 1 mana of any colour. Sorry, tap to add 1... Dear me, I'm misreading that, aren't I? Tap to add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. You suffer 1 damage whenever City of Brass becomes tapped. That's actually been reprinted a few times and was available in 5th edition for considerably less. And we've got Plateau, which does red-white, Savannah, white-green, Scrubland, white-black, Tagia as green-red, Tropical Island, green-blue, Tundra, which is blue-white, and Underground Sea, which is black-blue. Oh, and then Volcanic Island, which is blue-red. Sideboard. So there is a creature in the sideboard. I think that's the only other creature which is in the sideboard. 3 and a green, Urnham Jin, 4/5. During upkeep, you must choose one of opponent's non-wall creatures in play. Until your next upkeep, that creature gains the Forest Walk ability. If opponent has no creatures, ignore this effect. Never rolls disc. 4 to cast. 1 destroys all creatures, enchantments, and artifacts in play. Disc begins tapped but can be untapped as usual. Disc destroys itself when used. So you sort of see that coming. 1 Swords to Plowshares. There was there one? Oh, I've got slightly different artwork here. So yeah, there is the Ice Age one, and now I've got the one from limited edition beta there. Fireball, X and a red does X damage, total divided evenly rounded down among any number of targets. Pay 1 extra mana for each target beyond the first. Pretty iconic card. Prosperity, X and a blue, each player draws X card. Balance, 1 and a white. Whichever player has more lands in play must discard enough lands of his or her choice to equalise the number of lands both players have in play. Cards in hand and creatures in play must be equalised the same way. Creatures lost in this manner may not be regenerated. Drain life, 2 to cast, 1 and a black. Does 1 damage to a single target for each black spent. In addition to the casting cost, caster gains 1 life for each damage inflicted. If you drain life from a creature, you cannot gain more life than the creature's toughness. And that's what it's been errata to, if that makes any more sense. You'll notice, yeah, X1 and a black, which didn't turn up until the Beatdown box set. Doing that. Oh, what's that? Friday Night Magic card. Okay. There you go. There's a version in 5th, but it's got the old setup in terms of the putting the X down here instead of up top. And then we have 3 Misha's Factory. It's a land. Tap to add 1 colourless mana to your mana pool, or give an assembly worker +1/+1 until end of turn. 1 Misha's Factory becomes an assembly worker, a 2/2 artifact creature until end of turn. Assembly worker is still considered a land as well. Yeah, so 5-colour magical Christmas land deck. But I'm sure it was fun at the time. But, part of the point is this. It does, like, sometimes when you build a deck, you just want to fill it with cool stuff. And I can imagine at the time, like, with the Elder Dragons and this Spirit of the Night and its associated combo pieces, must look pretty cool. But what it does do is it does inspire me to think, when you've got like these, there's some 5-colour commanders which are pretty generic in terms of they have utility on them, which can lend themselves well to, I suppose, a good stuff deck. It is tempting to basically build a deck where you have that as a commander and then shove it full of all your favourite creatures and spells and stuff like that, or just ridiculous creatures. As I said, in terms of building this, I don't think these are, from what I remember, let me just have a look again at the prices here. So these, you can see, aren't egregious, and these are all available as versions from Chronicles, where they're considerably cheaper. White border reprint set. Birds of Paradise. I'm not sure what the cheapest version of Birds of Paradise is. In 4th edition, set you back $6.31. It's been reprinted several times as well. Yep, so what's reprinted in 10th edition? Yeah, so it comes up all over the place. But it's a popular card, so, that's why it's sort of holding its price. And it's been reprinted in these core sets as well. Anyway. What's in the guild kit? Look at the amount of times it's just been reprinted in different stuff. Oh, there's a I forgot there was a Dominaria remastered one, wasn't there? Yeah. Cool. Well, there you go. That's a nice sort of fairly old school version of it there, actually. 725. Wow, it's interesting, isn't it? How many there's in Bloomburrow Commander as well. Yeah. So let us move through some of these and just talk a little bit about this. So we've got these cards. So we'll take a little bit of closer look at this and just see whether the wording's changed that much. I don't think. I mean, this creature gets +1/-1 until end of turn. Black +1/-1 until end of turn. So it's actually got longer. Creature Night Stalker, that's not changed. We're going to be looking at some Night Stalkers as well, because I thought it would be fun too. Right. Activated ability. Oh, yeah, of course. I keep forgetting, don't I? That's a Flowstone type effect. Now, strictly speaking, okay, is it rolls around that way where it's plus? Yeah, I always associate it around that way. I saw one there which is the revert, was a flipped one, which is this Alpha Cavu. So it's either or, actually. I thought it was only ever +1, plus n, -n, but it appears it's the reverse is true as well. Worse than Misery Shadow. Okay. Yeah, okay, so this is cheaper. It is a 2/2. It's got a normal pump on it, so and it's mana of any colour. Wow, yeah, that's considerably better. But of course, can't use in the combo. Feral Shadow. Oh, I like that one. From the list. Was that from Portal? Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's pretty cool. So flying 2/1 for 3. I'm assuming that's why they stuck it in there. They didn't have the combo in in that set, as far as I know. No, they didn't. Okay, so it just went in as a 2/1 for 3 with flying. Okay. Oh yeah, all of these. So yeah, Gloom Hunter, 2/1 for 3 with flying. Moaning Spirit, 2/1 for 3 with flying. Dusk Imp, flying, and Kellinor Bat, of course. When did that first get printed? Oh, there you go, Magic 2010 reprint, right. Moving on to Herbal Panther. So this is the card that sort of brings it all together. Sacrifice a creature named Feral Shadow, a creature named Breath Stealer, and this creature. Search your library for a card named Spirit of the Night and put that card onto the battlefield. I was just pausing there for a moment because I'm thinking, okay, it does specifically say this creature. In the original one, it's named, and I'm wondering whether you could have actually sacrificed another copy of Herbal Panther, whether there would be any advantage of doing that based on what this was doing just before you sacked it. Yeah, so not sure about that. It is, oh, it's been upgraded to a Night Stalker cat. Wow, okay. So was Feral Shadow upgraded? No, it wasn't. So Herbal Panther is a Night Stalker cat. And rightly so. Yeah, related to these. Martyr Effect, which we've looked at before. Creatures that sacrifice themselves for benefit. In this case, it's sort of, yeah, it's martyring into a specific tutor for a specific card. And that goes from when it does find that Spirit of the Night. That goes from the, you know, straight out into play. And good old Spirit of the Night. And yeah, it has haste, so unaffected by summoning sickness. So as soon as it gets out, this is ready to start swinging. And when it does attack, it has first strike. It was in a World Championship deck. Interesting. It makes a pretty interesting reanimation target, doesn't it? 6/5. So back in the day. Okay. I don't think anything additional to see here, which we haven't seen before. But yeah, comes together nicely in terms of all the stuff. Flying, trample, protection for black, and then first strike, as long as it's attacking, haste. So, just moving then into Night Stalkers. So, if we're curious about, okay, this type, you know, when did the first Night Stalker appear? Shimmy and Night Stalker, 3/2 black, 4/4 black, tap, redirect all damage done to you from any one attacking creature to the Shimmy Night Stalker. And then, if we're going by first printings, we have these three from Mirage. Because Spirit of the Night itself is not a Night Stalker, it's a demon spirit. We have these from Portal, Second Age. In fact, yeah, most of them are from Portal Second Age. So Abyssal Night Stalker, Brutal Night Stalker, Lurking Night Stalker, Night Stalker Engine, Predatory Night Stalker, Prowling Night Stalker, Raiding Night Stalker, and then from Prophecy we have Fen Stalker. So yeah, we could do a mono black Night Stalker deck, I suppose, if we felt so inclined. Let me let's have a quick look at this and our checklist, because that's easier sometimes. Oh yeah, look at that. Nice little collection there. Collection of Night Stalkers. If we look at everything that's ever been printed and then go back to images, I don't know. Wow. Yeah, so what happened there? I'm just trying to see. I thought, where have I gone wrong here? Let's just do that by... Oh, yeah, that's white. That's blocking me. That's better. I thought something was wrong. Yeah, 23. Yeah, because I know that the other one's been reprinted. So, yeah, New Feral Shadow has been reprinted. Okay, so we've got... In fact, Feral Shadow's been reprinted a few times there. They put Pretty Nights in the Vintage Masters. Okay. So what do we have here? If I go back, let me just go back to the point where it was sorted by release date. There we go. We've seen these already. We've looked at that one. So we have this one. Attacks and isn't blocked. Your opponent chooses and discards a card. Brutal Night Stalker comes into play from hand. You may force an opponent to choose and discard a card. Okay, so two of them are forcing discards. Lurking Night Stalker, if it attacks it gets +2/+0. Night Stalker engine has power equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. So several of these have quite different abilities. Predatory Night Stalker, force your opponent to destroy any one of his or her creatures. Prowling can't be blocked except by other black creatures. What would that be? That would be... Okay, this creature can't be blocked except by black creatures. And then Raiding Night Stalker has Swamp Walk, and Fen Stalker can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or black creatures as long as you control no and untapped lands. So yeah, that would be Fear because it's black and artifact, whereas the other one is just can't be blocked except by other black creatures. Yeah, pretty distinctive artwork of its time. And then finally the Elder Dragons. So we already looked at these ones. This is in order by release date. So first time we saw them was in Legends, as I'd mentioned. They've been reprinted a few times now. In actual fact, there's some cheap ones in Dominaria Remastered if you don't want the original artwork. Then we get these. So it's not until Dragons of Tarkir we get more Elder Dragons. And these ones you can see are two colour. So we get red green, green white, black red, white blue, blue black. So that's cycle of allied. Then, and again here, remember we're just looking at the first time it was printed. And you can see here that we got the particular watermarks as well. And we get a very effectively, if you look, same name, so like a namesake card, I suppose, but different name. So there's Arcades, Chromium, Nicobolus, Paladamor, Vivictus Asmadi, same colour combination, but different type of casting costs. Gone are the two colour shenanigans, or two of each colour. And then we move on to Strixhaven School of Mages. And you can see here what we're getting is the enemy colour, two colour Elder Dragons. And you can see here again we've got their appropriate watermark for different houses. That's probably I'm trying to remember the name of the online thing. Anyway, yeah, that's an online version. And then we get some interesting ones here. We've got this Piru the Volatile from Modern Horizons 2, which is red, white, black. So would that be the same as anything? Red, white, black. Yeah, so these... So white... It's always fun trying to think these because they change the orders. So white, blue, black. So these were... If I got this right, these would be shards, wouldn't they? Because the colours are side by side, I think. if that's right. Might be easier to see on these actually. Yeah, green, white, blue, black, blue, black, red, red, green, white. Yeah, okay. Black, red, green. So they are shards. I'm assuming then this is a wedge, isn't it? Peru the volatile. So red, white, black. Yeah, so the black and the red are side by side, but the white's across from them on the colour pie. Yeah, okay. But am I right? There's never been like a... Has there never been a wedge Elder Dragon? There's been wedge, obviously there's been wedge legends, but there's never been a wedge Elder Dragon. Is that... Hang on, what am I... Yeah, that is right, isn't it? Yeah. And then we get this cycle here from Battle for Baldur's Gate, which are mono-coloured Elder Dragons. And then this one from Final Fantasy Commander has three of the first brood. And I'm not sure, because isn't this set, is it in the process of still being spoiled? I'm not really up to date on this, unfortunately. 13th of the 6th, what's the date when this is being filmed? Okay, yeah, so we're not quite filming a bit ahead of myself here. Okay, so it probably has, it might have even been completely spoiled then. Yeah, maybe it has. Okay, so that's probably the only one then. But it's interesting when you look at these, and I don't know whether this was done deliberately. It's sort of as a homage to the original ones, but the sort of abilities and I suppose the templating is all over the map, even in the cycle. Yeah, it's just all over the place. This is probably the most streamlined, is it? They're all D20 shenanigans, actually. But, and there are some commonalities, like, you have this, cost to keep it in play across all the cards. And they all have flying. But yeah, quite a varied array of abilities. I'm trying to remember what actually ended up in the Commander product that came out around then. This is cool artwork. And I always like the ones from Dragons of Tarkir, actually. I think out of all of them, the ones I remember the best, simply because these are so iconic, these ones. I for some reason I remember this and this better than I do the other three, and I don't know why that is. Maybe because I possibly pulled those. And these, why do I don't remember why I specifically do remember these ones, because I don't know if I even opened, I've even got Battle for Baldur's Gate decks, but I think it was just a big deal at the time. I think the fact they were like mono-coloured Elder Dragons. Yeah, but these Dragons of Tarkir one make me super nostalgic. I suppose because at that time I was still fairly well invested in Magic the Gathering in terms of buying products. So cool. Okay, thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in a future episode.